What is up, everybody? A happy Tuesday to you all, or I guess if you're listening to this on Wednesday, a happy Wednesday to you. This is the Fit in the Form podcast for the Corales Puntacana Championship, the second part of the Awesemo Golf Weekly podcast series. Of course, you can find all of our podcasts on our podcast network, easily findable by going to awesemo.com, seeing the banner across that front page, clicking on the podcast network, and then finding golf. You can find all three each and every week. They are three short-form podcasts ranging from 15 to 25 minutes, totaling 45 to 60 minutes. Typically, though, I've been averaging right around like 50 to 52 minutes, so under an hour, and I'm going to give you all of the information you need for the upcoming week to do your best or make your best lineups or bets for each and every week. So, this one, the Fit in the Form podcast, what I do here is I go into some information about the course history, which we do have 4 years of it. Then I go into a little bit of recent form. And then I cap it all off with a little bit of strokes gained information. All great stuff. But if you're looking for more, if you haven't already listened to my opening tee podcast from yesterday, a great time to do so. And this week, special, I'm going to be doing the Against the Grain podcast tomorrow morning. And I'm going to be including in most, if not all, of Awesemo's projections because this week, part of the free content we give out here at Awesemo.com each and every week is the ownership projections for the Corales Puntacana slate. So if you're not already an Awesemo.com Plus member, you'll get one of our best features free this week. Okay, let's jump right in, and as I always do, I quickly review the course profile from the First Cut article. That is, of course, live and free each and every week. 70% of the fairways will be hit this week by the golfers, 66% of the greens in regulation. And when you do miss the green, 60% scrambling average, so a pretty low-scoring event should happen. Okay, we're going to start with recent form here, and the top 10s, as we start off with Will Zalatoris. I mean, there's not much more we can say. He has 5 top 10s. He leads the field. Nobody else even has 3. Mackenzie Hughes and Thomas Dietrich, in fact, are the only others with 2 in the highest level of professional golf. Alex Smalley and Justin Suh, while they've been tearing it up, it's been on the local IQ series. So, yeah, I don't know how much you can count those. Emiliano Grillo, Christopher Ventura, and Roberto Diaz also have a couple in there as well. Hughes and Dietrich actually have 3. I apologize. I wrote that down wrong. Okay, now we can go to the top 25s. Obviously, those guys that are in the top 10s, you can see in the top 25, but others that we haven't mentioned, Sam Burns, Zing Zun Zhang, Pat Perez, Charlie Hoffman, Ben Martin, all have 3, while Suh, Ventura, and Hughes, guys we just mentioned, they all have 4. And we move on to our made cuts segment. Adam Schenk, he's the only golfer other than Justin Suh and Will Zalatoris to make all of their cuts in the last 10 weeks, or 11 weeks, I should say. Sorry, that's the time frame in which I look at my recent form. Adam Long, though, Patrick Rogers, and Michael Gillick have all on a long cut streak. While they haven't made every cut, they're on a long cut streak. Adam Long has made 6 straight, while Patrick Rogers and Michael Gillick have made 5 straight. Okay, let's turn our attention to the negative side. Golfers that maybe we are looking for a breakout this week, or golfers maybe that we want to avoid. Maybe a little bit of both there. This week, no top 10s coming into the event. Johnny Vegas, Kyle Stanley, Matt Jones, Sepp Straka, Doug Ghim. And of those guys, Vegas and Stanley have looked pretty good on their strokes gained information, as we'll get to in a little bit, so definitely like them. And of course, Doug Ghim has also looked very good in his stroke gained information, so I certainly like one of them to break the mold there. No top 25s. Well, Doug Ghim's got a couple, but Kurt Kitayama really struggling. He shot even par last week in round 1, though, of the U.S. Open, so maybe form isn't too far behind Kurt Kitayama, Matthew Neesmith, C.T. Pan, Kevin Tway, and Bryce Garnett have no top 25s in the last 10 or 11 weeks. I like that to change as well, so I'm going to take both of those bets if I had an opportunity to. In terms of the cuts, well, Sebastian Kaplan and Martin Traynor are really struggling right now. Dominic Bozelli, Sean Stefani, Zach Sucher, and Grayson Murray also struggling to find a paycheck during this little spout, but it can all change this week, of course. Now, speaking of course, let's go and talk a little bit about Corales Golf Club and Resort in Punta Cana. We have 4 years, as I mentioned, of information, as a lot of these golfers were on the Korn Ferry Tour a couple of years ago when the event was played here. So the event was played in 2016, or I should say 17, whatever it is, depending on the season. Regardless, they've been here the last 4 years. Professional golf has the first 2 in the Korn Ferry Tour and the last 2 in the PGA Tour. In terms of top 10, Seamus Power and Kelly Craft have 2, the only golfers with 2. Mackenzie Hughes, Jonathan Bird, DJ Trihon, Aaron Badley, and Chris Stroud, a couple of other guys that have 1. In terms of top 25s, multiples that join Power and Craft, because obviously if they have 2 top 10s, they have 2 top 25s, is Sam Ryder and George McNeil. They each have 2 top 25s. Now, when we turn to our cuts, Adam Schenk, he's the only one that's actually 4 for 4. So Adam Schenk has never missed a cut here and hasn't missed a cut in quite a while. So really interesting play for Adam Schenk. He is at least what the statistics say, the best fit and form right now in the field. So Adam Schenk. A couple of other guys that are 3 for 3, Jonathan Bird, Seamus Power, K.H. Lee, Kevin Tway, David Hearn, and Ryan Brem. On the negative side of things, we got a couple of guys with multiple missed cuts here. Tommy Two Gloves Gainey, I should say. Rafael Campos, Roberto Diaz, and Roger Sloan. They've all missed multiple cuts here in the last 4 years. All right, now let's head over to our strokes gained information where we try and figure out how these golfers have gotten it done. First, we start off with our total. We're 6 golfers in our. So I should say first, I have 3 different data points. First, the entire data set, which includes about 30 to 35 tournaments. Then the last 8 weeks, and then the last 10 weeks. It's just how my data set thing broke out. So 6 golfers have gained 2 or more strokes 4 times in the entire data set. Matt Jones, Sepp Straka, Mackenzie Hughes, Zing Zoom Zhang, Pat Perez, and Christopher Ventura. So, oh my goodness. In the last 8 weeks, only Sam Burns and Danny McCarthy have done it twice. Everybody else has only done it once, gaining over 1.25 strokes total. You can tell the variability we are in for when we see something like that. I mean, in terms of multiple times where a person has gained at least 1.25 strokes total multiple times over the last 10 weeks, you would think we'd got a bunch of golfers in there. Typically we do, but not this week. In terms of average, Zalatoris not only leads the average, but he also finds himself in the top 10 of total strokes gained over the last 10 weeks. As you can tell, this field, they haven't been gaining many strokes. They've been losing them. A couple of other guys, though, that are up there in this. Zing Zoom Zhang, Pat Perez, Adam Long, Charles Howell III, Sam Burns, and Doug Gim. They all have over 3 strokes total gained, so at least they're playing relatively well. When we switch out putting, take it out, and go to tee to green, Emiliano Grillo has 5 starts in where he's gained at least 1.75 strokes tee to green. Henrik Norlander, Wes Roach, Corey Connors, Ryan Armour, and Zing Zoom Zhang all have 4. Over the last 8 weeks, though, Sam Burns, Corey Connors, Kyle Stanley, Brian Stewart, and Luke List are a couple of names that have gained more than 1.25 strokes one time. No one has done it twice in this field. Crazy. Gillick is the most notable name here that has performed well tee to green over the last 10 weeks. A lot of the other guys I just mentioned, like Burns and the alike. Of course, Zalatoris would be number 1, but we don't even need to bring him up because it's only 1 start. Granted, it was the U.S. Open. He would lead in almost every one of these categories. Okay, off the tee, when we go to that, Corey Connors, one of the favorites this week. He's gained more than 1 stroke off the tee, 8 of 30 starts in my database. Johnny Vegas has done it 7 of 20. Keith Mitchell, 7 of 27. Sam Burns, 5 of 25. Those and the golfers that have gained at least a stroke more than 5 times. But that'll probably change after this week as Will Gordon. He's done it 4 of 8 starts, so 50%, showing how good he is off the tee. We switch over to the iron play. No surprise that Emiliano Grillo is by far the best iron player in the field. He's gained at least 1 stroke over 12 times. I think it's like 12 of 25 starts that I have in the database. We switch over to more recent terms. Chris Baker, Charlie Hoffman, Luke List, Danny McCarthy, Doug Gim, and Grayson Murray have all gained at least a half a stroke twice in the last 10 weeks. So playing relatively well with their irons. That was irons. I forgot to mention one thing about off the tee, so we're going to circle back there real quick. Bo Hostler, Chris Baker, Anirban Lahiri, Brandon Hagee, Brunson Burgoon, Chris Kirk, and Bill Haas, along with Corey Connors. have been positive in their strokes gained off the tee category in every single start over the last 10 weeks for them. So definitely golfers maybe like Chris Baker, who we just mentioned twice. Ball striking is pretty good, so maybe guys that we want to focus on for this week. When we switch over to around the green, Ryan Armour and Fabio Gomez, they've gained at least a stroke 5 times in the database, the only golfers to do so. In the last 8 weeks, however, Mackenzie Hughes, Adam Schenk, and Adam Long have all gained at least a quarter of a stroke 3 times, the only golfers to have done that. So obviously not many strokes gained around the green by this field. We switch over to putting, however, there are a bunch. It has been the Mackenzie Hughes show for a little while now. Sepp Straka, Adam Long, and Xingzhu Zhang, they're also all putting well. Obviously, nobody is better than Denny McCarthy in terms of the entire data set of starts where he's gained over a stroke. He's the only golfer in the data set that has double digits there. So, obviously, Denny McCarthy is still one of the best putters, but lately it has definitely been Mackenzie Hughes. All right, so maybe a little bit shorter here with, I think, in my strokes gained information, there was roughly about 40 golfers that didn't have more than 2 starts. I included Zalatoris in there just because he was an odds favorite. I didn't include Dietrich in there, even though he's an odds favorite as well. But over 40 golfers didn't have a start or didn't have over 1 start. And in terms of recent form, again, similar type of scenario where a lot of golfers haven't even played. Plus, a lot of golfers haven't really played that well, so not much to really discuss there. However, still a bunch of information given out here. And also, what I like in these weeks is there may not be a lot to talk about here, but I believe the betting markets are more vulnerable. There's just the books don't really know these players as well as they know the other ones. So certainly take a look out for my 3-ball betting video that I will have out tomorrow morning. It is running a little hot right now, getting a top 5 and top 10 out of just 3 picks last week. So we'll try and go for that again. So until next time, everybody, come back and join us for the Against the Grain podcast this week, tomorrow morning, featuring almost all of Awesemo's ownership projections, especially for the most important golfers this week, as it is free content. So check it out, awesemo.com/PGA ownership projection. So thanks for joining, everybody, and come back tomorrow morning for the Against the Grain pod, the 3rd and final podcast of the weekly Awesemo podcast series. So till then, everybody, we will see you on the other side. Cheers.